Sports podcast.
Welcome to the All Sports podcast with me, Matt, and today, Joel. How are you, mate?
Hey, Matt. Yeah, I'm all good, mate. How are you?
All good too, thank you. We will get through a bit of football and a bit of F1 today. Working through the alphabet of sports, we seem to have stopped on F for a while, and we'll start at probably the biggest fixture of the weekend. Two possible title contenders collided at Stamford Bridge with Chelsea versus Liverpool. With the form that Liverpool were on, Chelsea would have been looking favourably going into the fixture, and they didn't disappoint.
Yeah, that is true. I think it's probably did end up being a good time to play Liverpool off the back of those two defeats. So they lost late against Palace the week before and then went away to Galatasaray in the week. I think that's right. And lost 1-0.
I'm even thinking a little bit further back maybe, because they've not exactly been clicking, have they?
Yeah, so I think it probably ended up being a good time to play them. I don't know if Chelsea would have necessarily thought that going into it, because they had so many injuries. And actually what happened in the game kind of exacerbated that as well. They lost another centre-half. Maybe it was Badiashvili who had to go off injured. So at that point, I think the score was maybe 1-0 to Chelsea at that point. And then, you're kind of thinking when Liverpool equalise, okay, they've kind of ridden the storm, got themselves back in the game, and now have a vulnerable Chelsea who, they might be able to take advantage of. But that wasn't the story of the last 20 minutes. The story of the last 20 minutes was Esteval and how exciting he looks for Chelsea, I think, and he ended up winning the game for them with almost the last kick.
Chelsea, if you said to anyone, any football fan, who's Lavia and who is Hato, you would never say that they're the two Chelsea centre-backs that played for the last half an hour against Liverpool on Saturday.
100%. I mean, so many of their players, I have to have Google open constantly when I'm watching their lineups, basically. So there's quite a few who I just don't know, and I just don't have a lot of information on as well. So I'm not really sure what to expect. Apparently, a few of Achpong did pretty well in the Conference League last summer, and I think I saw him in the opening match of the season where he looked pretty good. But so maybe this could be a bit of a breakout for him. But I don't know if him going off for Haito, was that an injury or?
I think he got a niggle as well.
So
probably the last two players you'd want to switch up would be the centre backs.
Yeah, so they're really struggling there. But I mean, I think the overriding story of the match is probably Liverpool. I mean, obviously Chelsea have shown real resilience to win that game, and that's a big thing for them, I think, because they're still a young team and a team constantly in flux as well. But I think in terms of Liverpool, 3 losses on the bounce, like you said, the broader context of just the kind of stodgy way that they've started the season. Salah doesn't look right.
And I think their games are a little bit stodgy as well. They went through, they probably had 4 5-minute increments throughout the match where they were on top. So probably a total of 20 minutes where they were properly on top, and they only capitalised once. But the rest of the game, Chelsea looked more threatening going forward, better on the ball, better possession, better link up, despite the fact that their squad's pretty fractured, as we said, with the injuries that they've got. But I mean, I don't know how much of it's obviously Alisson doesn't affect that link-up play so much, but it still does impact them not having their number one goalkeeper and possibly the number one goalkeeper in the league.
Yeah, I think we talked about it in the early weeks of the season, just how much change they made over the summer, and you can see that they're at all different stages of integrating these players. So Wirtz has probably taken a bit of a step back. In the last few games, he's not been starting. Kirkesh has started a lot, and they seem to be able to that they seem to be trying to kind of play him up to speed. It's not really working, and he's having to come off for Robertson quite a lot.
Yeah.
I
don't think I've seen him do a full 90.
No, me neither. There's an issue at right back that they're still trying to solve in terms of missing Trent's productivity from there, and also just like the type of player that he is from there as well. So I think that's why Szoboszlai's been playing there a lot, because he has some of those capabilities on the ball. Obviously not to the level of Trent, but like he's
The
a
distribution
midfielder playing
certainly.
a right back,
Yeah.
So that might be some of the thinking there. And he created the goal, didn't he? He got forward and put the ball in for the goal as well for Gattuso's
Right, yeah.
goal.
Well, yeah, service Isak.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, true, yeah. What a touch that was, by the way, if you meant that. And, that's all.
Yes, I think, although I would say...
Go on, sorry.
I was going to say, I think out of the two, Voltemade is going to outscore Isak this year.
What's he on now? Is he on 4? 3 or 4 in his first
four and six. 4 and 6, not a bad return. And he's on pens as well, which I don't think Isak's going to be.
Yeah, it just goes to show that maybe it's a good idea to do some pre-season training.
But match practice.
But yeah, like Isak's fitness has kind of hindered Ekitike's integration, you would say. Also, the red card kind of did that as well. Ekitike kind of did that to himself. And Frimpong being completely overlooked for the right-back slot because of maybe trying to get the type of profile in at right-back who helps them the way that Trent did. But you're never really going to find anyone who does it the way that Trent
although he's a very attacking right-back, I think he's more of a defensive liability than Trent's defensive frailties. In fact, I find him really erratic. And as a back four, I'd not feel very trusting of that.
You mean Szoboszlai or Frimpong?
No, Frimpong.
Yeah.
And I think Slot's probably feeling the same.
Well, yeah, maybe he's not like fully trusted at the moment, and that's maybe making Slot overthink it to an extent. And that's why, I mean, I understand the kind of thinking around the Szoboszlai thing, but I don't think it's ideal for like the balance of the team. So they've got some things to figure out, I would say. It's probably not a surprise given, like I say, the amount of changes that they made over the summer, and also like the upheaval of what happened with Diogo Jota as well. That probably shouldn't be overlooked. But yeah, I would say it's not all rosy, and like after 4 or 5 games, you might have thought that it would be. So we'll see how they kind of go from here. Alisson's going to be out until after the next international break, I believe. So it'll be interesting, like how much of an impact.
Which is mid to end of November, isn't it?
Yeah, and he always seems to miss decent chunks of the season like that, Alisson, doesn't he?
Yeah, he definitely did over the last couple of years too. Interestingly, Liverpool have now lost 2 games when last season they lost 4 for the whole year. It's not a great trajectory. A lot of people saying Arsenal and Man City in with a shout, and that seems like could well be coming into fruition. Arsenal certainly capitalised once again for the second week, having done it against Newcastle last week, and then with probably an easier fixture against West Ham, but those ones can be a bit of a banana skin, can't they?
Yeah, I mean, they lost against West Ham at home last year, didn't they? Yeah, I think last week's one was super important because Liverpool had already been beaten. So there's that kind of opportunity there. And obviously the way that the game went against Newcastle as well, they were behind for a lot of it. So to walk away there with the win would have definitely given them a lot of belief. And yeah, having a very routine victory against West Ham at the weekend, where you're able to effectively take your foot off the gas for the last 20 minutes and make changes, will definitely solidifies them as the current front runners, I would say, with the depth of squad that they have. It's something that we've spoken about, where I think we said a couple of weeks ago, there's going to be chances for Arsenal to close the gap. It's just about taking them. And now 2 weeks in a row, they've done that. So that's a real kind of mentality shift for them. If they can continue that and kind of consistently capitalise on their opponents slipping up, consistently win games that they're expected to win, then yeah, you would think that they're in really good shape.
Yeah, and having Gabriel back with Saliba, really important that back four is now very, very solid. I mean, Timber, Saliba, Gabriel and Calafiori, that's a title-winning defence. That's what Femi said, like, the defence will win the league. And it's that back four and Raya, world-class.
Yeah, defence and set pieces are going to be so important, both attacking them and defending them. So having those four at both ends of the pitch for those kind of one-off situations is going to be extremely important. Like, you've seen how much teams are using long throws this year. So I think everybody is kind of banking on those moments where you can be really deliberate about what you do and you have the opposition in certain positions that, yeah, they're going to be hugely important. They were for Arsenal last year and they will be again. And that back four is tailor-made to deal with high balls into the box, either attacking them or defending them.
Oh yeah, that's the pertinent point there that you say, attacking them as well, because that's one of the strategies that Arsenal have adjusted as well, is the crosses into the box they've created. Whereas last season they were looking to play around the box and through the middle. This year they're putting a lot more crosses in. They're nearly on double the amount of crosses for the same 7 games as last year. So they're into the 130s, whereas they were 70 something last year. So into the 130s for crosses so far this year into the box. So it's not just set pieces getting balls into the box. They're trying to do it in open play as well. And now obviously bringing Gyökeres in and having the back four that they've got that can push forward and get into the box. And then obviously bringing Eze in is a big strong lad as well. And then you've got people that can distribute, like I say Ødegaard, he's obviously now injured again, but Saka, Trossard, Eze, Martinelli that can get the ball into the box. It's you can see the way that Arteta has now built this squad.
Yeah. I mean, the fact that Ødegaard injury feels like a bit of a blessing at the moment for me, because it's like they can keep playing Eze and keep playing him in. Yeah, in that position just behind the front man and still have options out wide. Well, Madueke is injured actually, isn't he? Yeah, maybe they are a bit light behind the front man now, but yeah, we'll see. Anyway, those two being out, and they've still got Saka, Eze and Martinelli or Trossard on the other side, just shows how strong they are.
And 16-year-olds coming through as well.
Yeah. What's his name? Dowman.
That's Dowman.
Yeah. Yeah, he looks pretty good, doesn't he?
What I saw pre-season, a little bit of what he did early on in the Prem. Not afraid to go forward and take people on and lose the ball, which is what you want to see from a 16-year-old.
Yeah. And Nwaneri is still there as well, kind of was a sensation last year, so he can still help off the bench.
Yeah, so some fairly decent depth there. And then we said the other team, obviously, that are going to be contenders, Man City. Haaland felt after his 2-goal contribution last week that he could have put the game to bed earlier and scored more. And he keeps the goal-scoring run going. People selecting Salah over Haaland in FPL are going to be punished unless they've made that switch with wildcard now.
Yeah, I've already rectified that mistake. Haaland looks on it at the moment, doesn't he? City, again, like flattered to deceive a little bit. But I think Brentford are better than certainly I thought they were going to be.
Same with me, yeah.
I think going there and getting a win, any kind of win, is going to end up looking like a decent result at the end of the season. And, you know, that goal, he was just like throwing. Who I don't know who the defender was, but he made him look like a ragdoll. You can tell at the moment he's just so confident in the way he's moving, like full confidence in his body, that you can see that he's playing with no kind of like physical impairments at all. And when he feels like that, he thinks he can overpower anybody and get on the end of any ball. So yeah, he's looking like a difference maker for them at the moment. I thought Reinders looked better as well, bit more involved. He had a pretty decent chance in the first half, I think. And like Foden, very involved. He was a bit wasteful, Foden, yesterday, but looks sharper. So I think we spoke about it a few weeks ago, but like that notion of the supporting cast at City contributing a little bit more is going to be the key. And I think there were still signs that they will be able to do that moving forwards, even though Haaland's strike was the difference. And I think if they can get Foden, Reinders, and one of the wingers, either Savinho, Bob, or Doku, in some kind of form. Then
they do seem like they're getting a little bit more output out of Doku. That it's not all show. That there's a little bit more substance there as well, so that could be dangerous. But it's games like this that I think that Haaland's in what's destined for a 0-0 draw. Some games like this, Haaland's just going to pop up with match winners, and that's why I think that will see them through as a threat for the rest of the season. And Rodri's back, but now he's injured again. Probably rushed back a little bit too early, understandably, given the gulf that his absence left for them at the end of last season.
Well, I think that's a bit of a worry, actually. Guardiola said in the week that Rodri can't do 3 games a week. And if it gets to that point with players, I do wonder whether they're ever able to take on that workload again. Just trying to think of, it's not very often that players reach that point, but how many of them reach that point and then come back to being able to do those 3 high intensity, at the highest level, 3 games a week again. So I think that would be a bit of a concern for City, and they probably are hoping that Nico Gonzalez can be an able deputy there, but one to watch probably over the course of the season, how much they're actually able to use Rodri and how durable he is.
Not Forest worth talking about. We've spoken about some teams on the up and up a little bit there. One team on the down and down. Nuno Santos gone. New manager bounce has not activated yet for Big Ange Postecoglou. And what's interesting about the two is Nuno is a shore up the defence kind of manager, and Big Ange is a all-out attack sort of manager. So it might be that it's just a little bit of a transition in playing style that they're going to take some adjusting to, but they look lost at sea.
Yeah. It's a big adjustment, like you say, from one kind of type of manager to another. I think they already started doing that with the squad over the summer. But what I will say is Postecoglou is going to have had no time to actually coach them in how he wants them to play.
True.
I think they've played 7 or 8 games since he arrived. And
Europa League midweek.
Yeah, there's not going to be a lot of time on the training ground working on shape or patterns or anything like that. So I would say that that's probably exacerbating the issue. I think he's had quite a hard start as well, and not necessarily obviously the home game in the Europa League
against Michelin, man.
Yeah,
and
obviously
away to Betis as well.
Yeah, but the Betis away game I thought looked okay on paper. And they're not a terrible team. It's away from home. It was still very early days, so getting out of there with a draw I thought was okay. But yeah, losing to Michelin at home, that's a serious problem. And he's just had these niggly games. I feel like they've had quite a lot of away games and quite a lot of away games against mid-ranking teams where...
Well, like Burnley, the 1-1 draw with Burnley.
Yeah, so they drew 1-1 with Burnley. Even this Newcastle side, Newcastle are a good side and have a brilliant record at home in the main, but they haven't started the season brilliantly. And they are in the bottom half of the table at the moment. They probably won't be towards the end of the season, but still, it's just one of those games. It's not away to a City. It's not away to an Arsenal where you just kind of write it off. And I think that compound impact of these results might be making it look a bit worse than it is. But there's also his outward, whatever he's projecting. He basically did it for the last 6 months at Tottenham, and he doesn't look energized to be in a new role. He's saying these things, but you're like, mate, you were struggling.
He says, I have nothing to prove. I mean, in your last job, you got sacked as a Premier League manager, so you've absolutely got to prove yourself as a Premier League manager. And coming in and losing in the League Cup 3-2 to Swansea away, he'd been in a job a week. What I expect from a manager for that first game is say to the players, prove yourselves, prove that you want to play for this club, that you want to play for me, earn it, fire in your bellies, we'll sort the style out soon, but just go out there and put in a performance. And losing away 3-2 to Swansea was not the one, backed up by losing 1-1. I say losing 1-1 with Burnley. Yeah, they probably would have marked that fixture out as a win. So yeah, losing 1-1 to Burnley, drawn with Betis, and then losing at home to Sunderland.
Yeah, it's those home games that, if you'd won one of those, if you win one of those games at home to Sunderland or Midtjylland, then at least there's something there to cling on to.
A month in the job, is he at risk?
Only because Marinakis is so unpredictable, I would say. But also, it is a big reason why he's there. So I think you have to weigh one up against the other and say probably not at the moment, I would say. But yeah, like you mentioned there about him talking about that he's got nothing to prove. And like that was probably true at Spurs. And also the other thing that he used to say at Spurs was, I didn't get here. I worked hard to get here. I didn't get here because of my connections or something like that. And he's still saying that, but it's like you are literally there because you know the owner. It's not really the things that he's saying now don't really ring as true as they did when he was at Spurs, I don't think. So he either needs to change the narrative or get them winning, and he needs to do one of those really fast.
I think the players can probably get themselves winning. That's the thing, which might bail them out.
Squad.
They do, yeah. And they've got the international break now, which is going to help them. What doesn't help them is they come back first game against Chelsea, and then Porto, and then Bournemouth. The fixtures aren't friendly to them. Going away to Bournemouth is not going to be comfortable. Home to Porto, You'd say, is probably a must-win for him.
Yeah, that's 3 tough games, that is.
And then home to United, and then going away in the Europa League. Going away anywhere in the Europa League is
that
never
Europa
comfy.
League. Yeah, that Europa League is a problem for Forest, I think, because you're playing mid-level European sides, struggling with the rhythm of Thursday, Sunday, and not really having your way of playing nailed down. So you're almost using the Europa League as a bit of a test bed sometimes, but you can easily get stuck in between using it as a test bed or using it to rest players. And then you're kind of doing neither. You end up kind of doing neither.
Yeah, and when you need results, you just have to go with the first 11 and park experimentation as well. First fixture I've probably got marked out for them to get a result is November the 9th, home against Leeds. That's when I feasibly think they're going to get a result.
I would say that's too far away and he needs something before then, but we'll see.
Best of luck for him. Not that I've ever been one to cheer on a former Spurs manager, but there we go. Anyone else to touch on in football before we move sports?
Let's just see these other results. No, I think yesterday's ones. I mean, Palace maybe they showed some signs of struggling with the Thursday, Sunday rhythm yesterday as well. I think Everton getting 2 relatively late goals might be a bit of an indicator there, but could also mean absolutely nothing as well. Villa have been on the mend.
Here we go. That's what I was setting you up for.
They've looked a bit better in their last 2 home games, and particularly, I would say, away at Feyenoord. If you looked at the tail of the tape from that game on Thursday night in Rotterdam, you would probably say that Villa were fortunate to win because, Feyenoord had lots of shots and also had a goal wrongly ruled out as well. But by and large, I thought Villa showed a good level of control against a young, energetic, well-coached team who were pressing very high. And Villa showed a calmness that they haven't showed earlier on in the season, and that bled through to yesterday's game with Burnley as well. They were much calmer on the ball and able to pick locks that they didn't look like they were able to pick in the opening few games of the season. So they seem to have rediscovered their identity, as Emery would put it.
Is there still a Watkins issue?
Yes, there's still a Watkins issue and there's still a Rodgers issue as well. They are not showing their qualities at the moment, I would say. But
he got the assist in Rodgers, but the link-up's not quite been there.
Yeah. Moves are breaking down with those two. Yeah, as
It's not
long
what
as
Tommy Tuchel wants to see either.
no, probably not. I was actually quite surprised that Rodgers kept his place in the squad. Not so much Watkins, so I don't think there's loads of other options. But Rodgers, I think there are plenty of other options, and he has not been playing well by anybody's standards. I think he's a little bit fortunate to still be in. Hopefully, he has been a little bit better, and like I say, that assist yesterday, and then going away with England can kind of rid him of this kind of crisis of confidence that apparently he's been having. Everybody seems putting it down to confidence, so hopefully it is just that, and then he can move forwards.
Kind of thing. It just needs one, just needs an assist, just needs a goal, and everything's
fire. Yeah.
Right, international break then for the next 10 days, isn't it? Only 10 days.
Yeah, absolutely is.
Then we're back on the 18th. Yeah, so 12 days' time, and we're back with the Prem fixtures. So, over to Singapore, probably one of the best races of the year in the F1 calendar. Singapore night race, because it's a night race, and the city looks incredible under lights. Racing in the dark always looks pretty spectacular, and it looks much, much faster as well than it is if it needed to look faster. Well, it definitely does. I don't think there's anything really to talk about except for the McLaren.
So Norris on the podium and Piastri in fourth, but I've got a feeling that tells not even a modicum of the story.
Norris was behind Piastri all weekend until Sunday. And then it only took until the first and second corner for them to switch positions, with Norris putting a good move on Piastri that if it was against any other driver on the grid, Piastri would say, nice overtake. But doing it on your teammate, who we know at McLaren and the Papaya rules, team comes first until we win the championship, then leave your teammate alone. And we go with the order that you basically started is how you'll finish. And that was backed up when Norris had a slow pit stop 2 weeks ago, and they said to Piastri, give him the position back because it was our fault. We messed up, so give him the position back for the slow pit stop, which really didn't sit well with me. I mean, that can happen to anyone, anytime, but telling you to give a position to your teammate because they did a slow pit stop for him when he could have overshot his marks, and that's why the gun got stuck or anything like that didn't sit well with me. But then, yeah, Norris going kind of against the team ethos and giving Piastri a little bit of a bump. They went wheel to wheel, gave him a little bit of a bump, still gave him space and gave him more than a car width's space on the outside, Piastri, and he went through on the inside, and it was just a little bit of a procession behind George Russell and Max Verstappen for the rest of the race, really, because it is very hard to overtake. The dirty air at Singapore is very dirty. It's very hard driving conditions, and they've also increased the speed of the pit lane as well. So that also means that you don't lose as much time in a pit stop. So all of these things compound to making it a very processional race. So getting that early overtaking for Norris meant that he'd pretty much locked up the position. So he got on the radio straight away to say, not fair that, is it? That's not real team play, is it? Please can we have a look at that? And they've said to him, yeah, we'll have a look. Stewards had a look and said, no foul play. And then they came back on the radio to Norris at Piastri and said, stewards have got no issue with it. We've got no issue with it. And he said, not happy. And he wasn't happy for the next 50 laps. And then at the end of the race, this was the most telling part. They got third and fourth. So brilliant finish for them. Zach Brown comes over the radio to Piastri and says, congratulations, we've locked up the championship, the Constructors Championship for a second year in a row. Well done in the race 4. And then
wasn't ready to hear any of the feedback.
Piastri pulls the plug on the radio comms
really?
with the chief exec, Zach Brown.
Oh dear.
So they'd said to him, we'll talk about it as a team after the race. And yeah, he didn't want to hear any of the because everyone knows the radio messages are broadcast publicly. He wasn't playing that game. He just cut it off straight away.
So the championship is now wrapped up. The
Constructors, done deal.
So what happens now? Does it now become not a team game and no team rules?
So,
and does that mean that
But they also may give Oscar a little bit of leniency in the Piastri versus Norris. They might give him one. He might get one little shot in, but I think that'll be all he's allowed, and then it's play on.
Yeah, it'd be interesting. Now, how many races left?
6 races left, I think.
Okay,
Hold on. We've got Aston, Mexico, Brazil, Vegas, Qatar. Yeah, 6 races to go, and then we wrap it up at Abu Dhabi. So 6 races to go and only 24 points between them. 1 DNF and 1 win, and it's switched.
Yeah. So yeah, Norris might have jumped the gun a little bit in terms of the Constructors' Championship. Wasn't quite tied up when he made that move, but very close.
He only gained 3 points from the move as well.
Yeah, interesting. But yeah, I mean, I would personally like to see now that they're just race as individuals.
Yeah. We've got 2 weeks to Austin. That Austin race is going to be fiery, and I think we're going to hear a very different tone from both drivers. It's not team first now. Team stuff's done. Constructors is done. If that's the team's purpose to win another Constructors, it's new car regulations next year. So anything goes. We don't know who's going to have the fastest car on the grid. McLaren don't know if it's them. Everyone's basically starting from scratch. So they've probably binned off development now on this year's car, and it is all in on next year's car. But drivers, definitely not sewn up. They'll obviously not want Max to win it.
No, but I think he's far enough back, isn't he? One of these two is going to win it, and it's just about them going. Unless obviously they take each other out. Yeah,
which is likely. He needs to be finishing ahead of them though, and obviously he's only done that for 3 races. He needs to do it for the next 6 consistently.
Yeah, so probably too big an ask. But yeah, I mean, there hasn't been loads of jeopardy up until this point in the season just because McLaren have been so dominant. We've kind of been building up to this point where they secure the Constructors, right? And then they can start to race.
Yeah, exactly. And because they're so strict with their drivers on team first.
Yeah.
Because they've kept them in their cages. But those dogs have been rattling the cages. And yeah. They've now been released. Hopefully. I hope they have. We want to see a fight. We want to see them go all out. We want to see what they can do and who is the better driver.
Yeah. Ultimately, they're out there to compete against each other at the end of the day.
It's a hard team sport when it is so individual. The only thing that must feel like a team is the colour on your back. Yeah. Not anything else. You don't get anything else from a team.
They're not teammates, are they? Their teammates are the guys in the pit, the guys working on the car. It's almost like 2 teams against each other within the same team, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. One pit wall against the other.
Yeah.
Or one side of the garage against the other. Where you do see a little bit more team, and where I think it works really well, is where you've got an old head and a relative rookie, like you have with George Russell and Kimi Antonelli. I mean, Kimi Antonelli looks to George everywhere they go and has done throughout the season. Looking at his data, George is talking him through it as well, walking him through the paddock in the early races, showing him where to go, what to do. It really appeared that way. I don't think that was just for media. I think George genuinely took on that role and Antonelli lent into it as well. And then in a slightly different way, you've seen it at Ferrari, like Leclerc said, Hamilton's feedback has been crucial at Ferrari to developing the car. Leclerc rarely speaks out against Ferrari, though. He's a real company man, but he knows the value that Hamilton brings and that they've not really listened to yet. But another one that's interesting is in the Williams. So obviously you've got Sainz and Albon, very, very competitive. But because of where the car is on the grid, it seems like they're really working together to just get the best out of the car because they just want to get up and try and be competing for the points. So I think that's probably one of the relationships that is almost symbiotic.
Yeah, I was thinking about Alonso and Stroll as well.
Yeah, I mean that's another kettle of fish. I don't know what to tell you about Alonso and Stroll. Alonso's obviously a phenomenal driver and in the right car would still be competing and still thinks he can. Whereas, Stroll, their car's fine. The car is fine and it does get points, but he's not ever going to be world champion unless they create an absolute supercar next year under the new regulations, that's not off the cards, but he needs the other driver to let him win it.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and Alonso would not be that guy.
Which, as the story goes, did happen in FP3 with Stroll.
Really?
All right, well, it's an interesting one. 2016 European Formula 3 race. It was Nicholas Cassidy who claimed that Lance Stroll's his high-tech teammate, he was asked to let Stroll win during a Formula 3 race. But George Russell actually came out and disputed it. He was involved in it as well. And yeah, he disregarded it and said it was complete and utter rubbish. Don't know. So, bit of smoke. Maybe there's fire, maybe there's not. I don't know. Just want to make sure that I back up my claims now.
Yeah, exactly. We don't want to get called out on YouTube again, do we?
Not like another capless Cantlay story. What else have we got? Oh, did you see the sad news about Lewis Moody?
No.
World Cup winner and England rugby captain diagnosed with motor neuron disease as little as 2 weeks ago. 47 years old.
There was somebody else who got that. He used to play for Rangers, but his name escapes me at the moment. Yeah, but not the first sports person, not the first elite sports person that I've seen contract that.
It's been quite a few rugby players now, and he is known for thrashing his body about recklessly as well.
Can't be a
instance.
Yeah.
There's definitely some link. I think the charities involved and the medical teams have said that there is a link. The degree of link between MND and contact sports, they don't know to what degree it's a factor, but they know that it can be a factor. Knowing that, do you still do contact sport?
Very into it. Yeah, I mean, even things like heading in football, like how long is that going to be a thing for? Like the kids now don't do it. So at what point does it just kind of naturally phase out of the game?
Arsenal are going to have to adjust their strategy again.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've certainly. I mean, I've broken my leg in a couple of places in rugby. I've had a couple of concussions. I've had instances like where I've been driving home from a rugby match, black spots, instant migraine comes on, and I didn't play anywhere near professional, just in lower level rugby where I'm just playing 2-3 times a week, and that happens consistently. So, and then you hear these stories about people with early onset dementia and motor neuron disease, and it does make me think about our children, and do I want them, me knowing the risks, do I put them into a sport like that could possibly have those consequences? But then on the flip side, I know the value and benefit I got, the camaraderie, the endorphins, the enjoyment that I got out of playing contact sport for 20-25 years of my life.
Yeah, it's hugely important for just like relationship building and being able to go into new environments and knowing that you've got that sport to kind of fall back on. But yeah, some of those sports come with high risks than others.
They do. All right, well, I don't know how much of this we'll keep in, but we'll leave it there. If you enjoyed listening along, you can like and subscribe on Spotify and YouTube. You can get in touch at allsportspods@gmail.com, and we will catch you on the next one. Cheers.
Cheers.